And what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you. When the band began to play right, now the milkman's on his way. It's too late to say good night. So good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You're listening to Power Talk. I'm Melody Cedarstrom, and maybe we'll be here with Beth Schoenberg here shortly. So once again, thank you for joining us this morning. It is Wednesday, and it is chilly. There's a big old nor'easter coming up the east coast of the United States, and we're looking to get some, I guess it's supposed to start later this morning, but some snow and tomorrow, and they're getting some snow and ice all the way down into Jacksonville, Florida, I believe. So if we have any listeners out there down there in the Florida Panhandle or down there in Jacksonville or even down there in Georgia, give us a call and give us a weather report. Let's see if the weather people are correct, the Weather Channel is correct. But once again, you're listening to Power Talks. I'm Melody Cedarstrom. We're trying to get Beth back onto the program. But first, big old headlines out on the Drudge Report that Steve Bannon, turns on the Trump family. Treason at Trump Tower. Money laundering. He unloads on the family. Now, this was the Guardian report, and I guess he wrote a book. Steve Bannon wrote a book. The book is Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House, and it was reportedly based on more than 200 interviews with the president, his inner circle, and players in and around the administration. Is one of the most eagerly awaited political books of the year. In it, Wolff lifts the lid on a White House lurching from crisis to crisis, and again, Bannon is speaking to author Michael Wolff. And Bannon warned that the investigation into alleged collusion with the Kremlin will focus on money laundering, and predicted they're going to crack Don Jr. like an egg on national TV. But Steve Bannon described the Trump Tower meeting between the president's son and a group of Russians during the 2016 election campaign as treasonous and unpatriotic, according to an explosive new book that was seen by The Guardian. So The Guardian is reporting on this. Steve Bannon was speaking to an author, Michael Wolff, and is warning that the investigation into the collusion with the Kremlin is going to focus on money laundering. I really don't think that's a big surprise. Maybe to some, but it wasn't about collusion. It really was about, I believe, the money laundering and conflicts of interest, and I think that's what they're in there trying to expose in order to oust President Trump. And so he is particularly scathing about the June 2016 meeting involving Trump's son, Donald Jr., his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, then campaign chairman Paul Manafort, and the Russian lawyer Natalia Vasilnitskaya at Trump Tower. And a trusted intermediary had promised the documents that would incriminate Hillary Clinton, but instead of alerting the FBI to a potential assault on American democracy. So I believe we do have Beth now on the phone joining us.
I am here. I don't know what happened. Y'all just dumped me. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, this is something that I haven't quite digested yet. I didn't hear anything about it. I was looking at other news this morning, and Melody was telling me about this. She may not be shocked by it, but I am. Not necessarily that Trump had been up to anything, but the fact that Steve Bannon's turning on him, that kind of shocks me a little bit. But we'll see. I'm not sure I trust all the sources here, Melody, but like I said, I'm just now looking at it, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, this is certainly going to push the Bannon book to the #1 bestseller.
Well, and that's what it's about. I'm pretty certain.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about. However, it is interesting that he is, and he will make millions and millions and millions of dollars off this book. Although, who are the readers? Mr. Trump's base, they might not pay any attention to it. And those who dislike Trump, they might not want to support Bannon and buying his book. So, but whether here nor there, who makes the money and how much they make, it's the Fire and Fury is going to be published next week. Wolff is a prominent media critic and columnist who has written for The Guardian and a biographer of Rupert Murdoch, so this should tell you everything. He previously conducted interviews for The Hollywood Reporter with Trump in 2016 and Bannon a few months later. He told The Guardian in November that to research the book, he showed up at the White House with no agenda, but wanting to find out what the insiders were really thinking and feeling. He enjoyed extraordinary access to Trump and senior officials and advisors. He said sometimes at critical moments of the fledgling presidency. And a recurring theme of the book is the rancor between Bannon and Ivanka. And so it's
that I can believe. If Ivanka, I didn't agree with her on a lot of things. In fact, even when they had their the convention and he won the primary, and she got up and started talking about everything that the administration was going to do for women. And I'm thinking, well, where's that money going to come from? We're talking about being broke. Where's that money going to come from? Because that's just more big government, more bureaucracy, and so I don't always agree with Ivanka. And I know that they were, she and her husband were trying to talk her dad out of pulling out of the Paris Agreement, the climate change agreement there in Paris. And so anyway, I don't always agree with Ivanka, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bannon didn't go head-to-head with her on occasion, because I think they did. And this is interesting. It's very interesting. What a way to start the year out, huh, Melody?
Well, I told you. I predicted last year and this year, but Trump was not spared in this book, and they're really saying some nasty things. Wolff writes, doesn't quote, but he writes, when he has them in, I guess he is quoting, but you're really not sure. But he writes that Thomas Barrack Jr., a billionaire who is one of the president's oldest associates, allegedly, so again, he's just writing, he's not quoting, but allegedly told a friend Trump is not only crazy, but he's stupid. And I think we all are to a certain degree.
All crazy or all
crazy.
Stupid?
We're all crazy. But, so, interesting, the timing, interesting, particularly going into this election. And we'll see.
It's very interesting. We'll just have to see how this plays out. I'm going to have to do some research on it because, like I said, this is the first I've heard of it. You said it was just breaking news, so I thought the breaking news was the big sign, the fake sign in the state of California. I got a big kick out of that. Somebody there, they're not happy about it being a sanctuary state. The people aren't happy about what the governor has done there in the state of California. We don't have to change the topic if you don't want to, but I thought that was the breaking news today, at least on my end. Boy,
no,
did I have it wrong.
There's nothing more to be said. I mean, we know that Bannon is turning on Trump. He says there's treason at Trump Tower, and until the book is actually released, there's just going to be a lot of, one side's going to defend it, the other side's going to, go with it, and already you have Morning Joe, calling Trump, names and so forth. So, again, it's like, are we in high school? Are we still in high school? Junior high?
My nuclear button is bigger than your nuclear button.
Oh, good grief. My computer's bigger than your computer. It's just like,
I choked myself
oh, my heavens. Oh, my heavens. It's just like,
Well, excuse me, I got choked up. Well, in California, the state of California, somebody's been putting up signs, and it reads, "Welcome to California, official sanctuary state. Felons, illegals, MS-13, welcome. Democrats need the votes."
Good.
There was a place I got choked up. I apologize. There was an area here in the state of Missouri where they were constantly doing. They had a traffic trap, speed trap, and they would catch people constantly. And finally, somebody in the area put up a sign to warn everybody: "This is a speed trap. Slow down. You're going to get caught." And and that helped a little bit. Finally, the state, years later, the state jumped in there and put a stop to it. But it was somebody locally, and you may know where it is because I think you kind of lived in that area for a little while. But that's what I was thinking of, is somebody has gone, and they've gone to great lengths to put these signs up underneath the "Welcome, you're entering California" signs, like they have in Missouri and Kansas and any other state, I guess. You're entering this state now. But this Governor Brown is he's such a hypocrite, because he was one of them. And I know I've mentioned this numerous times, and it just doesn't go away in my head because he's such a phony baloney. Here he's talking about welcoming everyone into this state, it's a sanctuary state, and yet he was the one who refused. Him and Joe Biden, and there was others, Democrats, that absolutely positively refused to allow any of the refugees coming into this that really were needing sanctuary. They really were needing to save their lives from the North Viet Cong when we pulled out of the Vietnam War. And he was adamantly against it. So when did he become such a loving, caring person for illegals and or for refugees? These weren't even going to be illegals. They were bringing them in here. The Lutheran Church was sponsoring many of them. I think there were other sponsors as well. And some of them came to the United States, and some of them went to France. So he's just a phony baloney, and I think they do need the votes. I think that's definitely one of the reasons they're doing it. It's not out of kindness. It's not out of want for the state. People are leaving the state because of it's not a good place to live anymore. The economy's bad, and he's just completely wrecked the state, I guess. But they're going to keep electing him. That just always blows my mind that they keep electing these people.
Yeah, it
anyway.
is. But you know what's interesting is people have been leaving that state for years and years, and it has only gotten worse. I remember we relocated to Idaho back in the 80s, and I remember one of the top, the number of people moving into the state at Idaho. I love Idaho. It is one of the all states are beautiful, but Idaho is especially beautiful. And I hear the music. I do, too. I hear music. We're going to go into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks, and hopefully we'll all be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled, When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And welcome back. You're listening to Power Talks. I'm Melody Cedarstrom, and I'm here with Beth. And we were trying to do a whole lot of reconnecting during the break, and we're still having some sort of technical problems. She should be here shortly. In the meantime, I thought I would update you on some gold and silver prices. A little bit of pressure on gold today, and it's only down about $1 at $1,316. Silver was down a couple pennies at $17.23. So still holding very strong from the recent big increases we saw at the end of the year and as of yesterday. So 1-800-375-4188 for your gold and silver coins. Give us a call. We're very competitive. I do online shipping or online shopping. I shouldn't say shopping, but I should say comparison shopping, and to make sure my prices are very competitive, and we usually beat all of those people online, the majority of them anyway, so our prices are very competitive. Silver Eagles, we're offering 2018s, great pricing, and free shipping for the next couple of weeks. So give us a call. Visit our website at dgscoins.com, dgscoins.com, and make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter. It is there for you to sign up, and you can also listen to our radio programs, Financial Survival, from the website, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I believe Beth is with me.
I am back. I was listening to you. I am back. I don't know. We're having some Skype issues, and I think it's on your end, girl. But anyway, we're going to blame you.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm back. I'm on the telephone. So we are here. And go ahead.
I don't want any more time off. It's hard to get... I found myself yesterday at the 4 o'clock show, just a little rusty, after having a few days off. So
it doesn't take long. You got to get back in that saddle. You got to keep going. I found something interesting today. I don't know what I missed while I was trying to get back on here, but Chelsea Clinton, she was wishing everyone a Happy New Year, including the Church of Satan.
Oh, good grief.
This girl, she's so good at opening her mouth and inserting her foot that is just hysterical to me. She's the same girl that was saying that her poor grandmother didn't have the option of having an abortion, and I'm thinking, all right, and if she had, you wouldn't be here maybe. But anyway, Chelsea Clinton was wishing everyone a Happy New Year, including the Church of Satan, which I thought was kind of funny, but... Didn't worry about Trump's Twitter feed, but that was on her Twitter feed.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
It's true. Very true. But anyway, so Chelsea Clinton she's laughable, I think. But I think she's probably just as dangerous, if not more so, than her parents. I really do think she's somebody to watch out for.
Absolutely. Something else that's going on in the news and I think is very important is what's going on in Iran. The Trump administration is not turning its back on the Iranian protesters. They're keeping a close eye. The Trump administration is keeping a close eye on the protests. Senior officials are working to ensure that Trump does not miss an opportunity to incubate a possible revolution that could topple Iran's hardened ruling regime. I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's a very
It never worked out well for us. And I don't know what source you have there. I had several articles yesterday, and none of them said that he was instigating any of it. They are watching it. This is all coming to be because these people are so hungry. You know, we gave them billions and billions of dollars, but none of it got, trickled down to the to help their economy or to help their people, and they're hungry and they're without work and they're young and they're rebelling and it was at one time Iran was a republic. So were we at one time, and they're fighting to get that back. I need to get someone on the air that will talk about this because they are very familiar with Iran. And, of course, Iran went all to pot during the Jimmy Carter administration. That's when we toppled the Shah. And the Shah was very well respected and loved by the people. And anyway, it's been pretty corrupt ever since and going downhill. It's very tyrannical. It's interesting watching all this unfold. I mentioned on CSE Talk Radio yesterday that, when I was a kid, when I was in high school and junior high, we'd have American history. I absolutely loved American history. I won't say I'm good at it, but I really loved it and was very interested in it. But I was bored to tears with world history. And I can see now how important that is to American history and how important it is to watch what's going on around the globe to know what's really happening here. And or how it will affect things happening here. And so this is going to be very interesting to watch.
I think it's very interesting, and I think it's also very dangerous in the times that we're living in. We're seeing all the unrest that we're seeing in the Middle East. And I'm not so sure, and again, it would be interesting to have someone a little more versed in this area of the world to interview. But you have to, and China did a good job at restraining their youth. I mean, China did allow, a little bit of trickle down, to the youth to keep them occupied and prosperous and the people to keep them happy and so forth, so that they could maintain their communistic control over the nation and continue ruling that way. So we have to ask ourselves about Iran. You're right. They've been given billions of dollars, and it's all probably have gone to their military and to their nuclear military buildup, their massive military buildup. And to fund terrorists and so forth. But you have to remember, too, the young people that are rioting, what have they grown up under? Their teachings.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's strictly economic frustrations. I mean, that certainly enters in a feeling of you want to support them, that they're fighting the evil, and they want to feed their families and so forth. We see the same information coming out about North Korea. Oh, they're starving. Their soldiers are eating grass and seeds and stuff like that because they're starving. So and there's propaganda on both sides. There's probably truth and mistruths on both sides. And but I think but I also think that this is very dangerous, and we're not quite sure exactly what the youth is, but to become involved and perhaps. Well,
I think when he says become involved, I think they're just watching. They don't want something like a Tiananmen Square to take place. And, of course, we didn't get involved in that, really, did we?
No.
I remember when that happened in China, Tiananmen Square, and they just mowed down those young people. And so I think, and of course, Iran's known for doing all kinds of things to their citizens and murdering and killing them. And so that's what they meant by we're watching this, So hopefully maybe just to say that would stop the regime from mass killing their citizens, but who knows whether they care or not what the world thinks. But again, the administration previously gave them billions of dollars trying to win them over and to make them play nice, and that didn't happen.
And everyone knew that was not going to work.
Yeah, I think even the ones who did it knew it wasn't going to work.
Of course.
They just did it anyway. So it's interesting, it's scary, and it's something we need to really keep an eye on.
And it's again, it's the world that we live in, and eventually, what I personally believe, one of these is going to instigate something much bigger and more disastrous. You have all these little things just boiling. You have all these little pots boiling, and one of these pots are going to boil over. And,
I had an article yesterday, and then I heard another piece of news on Kim Jong-un as he made his New Year's address. He, I don't know if this is really their New Year's or not, but he said when it comes to relations between the North and the South, we should lower the military tensions on the Korean Peninsula to create a peaceful environment. Both the North and South should make efforts. And, of course, we know he's been the one touting and promising and threatening with his military and with his nukes as he's trying to refine his or whatever, perfect his nuclear weapons. And then, so it was almost like when this came out, it came out on January 1st. And when that came out, it's almost like you think, well, maybe some of the pressure's working, and he's thinking, maybe I should talk to South Korea a little bit. Maybe we should play nice. And then, of course, he tweets out about his hand always being on the button, and President Trump says somebody needs to tell him that I have a bigger button, and my nukes actually work. So it is volatile what's going on, and I think we have to really be very careful.
But you know what? I mean, he should, and I've heard today the reports, again, the grain of salt,
from whence they came.
From whence they came. That if he opens dialogue with South Korea, it's not going to work unless he eliminates his nuclear weapon. And he's not going to do that. But the whole problem with North Korea is they never finished the Korean War. And I think with him discussing and perhaps opening dialogue to the South, and the new president, I remember when he was taking office, about a year ago, that was he was willing to open discussions with North Korea. So I think the peace in the region has, for what I've read and what I believe, has to be between these two nations.
It absolutely does. But in this article that I have, and it's coming from the Daily Caller, and it was written by a Ryan Pickrell, it says in here that South Korea has been trying on a daily and twice-a-day basis to communicate with North Korea. And they continue to ignore their phone calls and won't receive their phone calls, and thus that continues on and on and on. And then, of course, Kim makes this comment that, well, we really need to open up the lines like he's the one making the suggestion, and they've been trying to communicate with him since the new president, I do believe, President Moon Jae-in. I'm not sure how they pronounce his name. I just say President Moon. But anyway, so like I said, it's going to be interesting, and it is very volatile. It's very scary what's going on. But they can't have peace without talking. Can't have peace saying I've got my finger on the nuke button all the time. It's right on my desk.
I know, and it's like you go from one extreme to the next. So we'll see if they allow him, and he does want to participate in the Winter Olympics. And he does want to be recognized, and we you often wonder how all of these negotiations within governments, not just this one between North Korea and South Korea, but all, governments throughout the years with their coming to minds, the things that are said, the things that are promised, the things that are, it probably really isn't much difference. There's just a little more attention paid to this one for, because of the irrational comments and so forth that's being put forth. But anyway.
Well, he's definitely tweeting, and that's what he was doing. And so it just goes on and on. I'm certain that you heard that Orrin Hatch is going to retire.
Yes, we mentioned it yesterday. Yeah.
Then I thought that. Well, we didn't hear because we didn't know yet. Right. I didn't know yet on my 2 morning shows that he was going to retire. That came in yesterday afternoon, and of course I have connections. You have connections. Well, you had a few hours left. You had a few hours in between there. Do you have connections? Do you have? Yeah. Do you know his secretary?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so what do you know? Do you have connections with Mitt Romney? Do you know what he's going to do?
I know who Mitt Romney. Yes, I know. Yeah. I can't give away my secrets.
Listen to this. We're going to write a book about Melody.
I can't release my, connections, and
you cannot release that. Mm-hmm. I have. It's Newsmax. That's where mine's coming from. I've got Newsmax, Daily Caller, WorldNet Daily. I'm trying to think some of the other ones. Breitbart on occasion. I haven't seen anything on Breitbart. I'll have to look there and see what they're saying about Bannon, because that's where he originated from. Romney might be interested in this seat, and of course they were saying last night not only that, but he wants to be president. So if he would get the Senate seat, and he's already moved his Twitter acknowledgement from Massachusetts to Utah. So if he does happen to win that seat, will he be supportive of the president? We know he hasn't been very friendly to the president, but he did go in and talk to the president after he was elected. He welcomed him to Trump Tower, and they had a little talk.
Well, yeah, he was in the running for a chief of staff.
Mm-hmm.
And
and then he had a niece or something that they were going to hire, I think, in some capacity. I think that was another rumor that was going around. But anyway, this is interesting. We're going to watch things unfold as some of these senators on both sides tend to decide, this isn't worth it, I'm getting out. Orrin Hatch has been there a long time, and he's been very supportive of the president.
I mean, he's 80. Well, he's going out with, he's not going to go out to, ruining his legacy. So absolutely, he would, his big deal was the tax cuts, and he was able to, along with all the rest of them, pat themselves on the back. So he'll be going out with, with high honors, I guess, in his state. But I was never a fan of Orrin Hatch. But
no, I wasn't either.
I think Romney will be pretty much along the same lines as a McCain if he becomes a senator.
I don't want to see Romney in there. I didn't want to vote for him for president.
I didn't.
So it's not somebody that I like. I don't trust him. And it's not because he's rich. It's because of how he ran the other state. He's a believer in big government. And he's not a true conservative. And I think I mentioned to you there was something called Strong America Now. They called it SAN, was what they referred to it as. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, and you could probably still, do a World Wide Web search on it and find it. But this was when, in 2012, when all of these were running for president, and it was a plan to get America out of debt. And all of those who were running for president were asked, on both sides, were asked to sign up for the class. All of them did on the Republican side, except for Mitt Romney. he refused to sign up. Newt Gingrich signed up, and Huckabee, and who all was running then. I think Herman Cain was running at that time, and all of them did. None of the Democrats did. But I started to say Orrin Hatch, but Romney would not sign up. And anyway, I found that a telltale sign. Is that how you say that? That he was not interested in getting us out of debt or doing what was right by the United States. And so it's not that the guy had the answers. That's what he did in life, was he went and helped companies that were having issues. And his plan was to get us out of debt, and he said he could do it by 2017, which seemed like a long time back then. Now here we are on 2018, and we're farther and farther in debt. And I'm going to have to look that guy up, because he'd be interesting to have on the air, see what he says.
Well, no, you mentioned Romney's wealth, and I don't consider Romney wealthy. I mean, he's wealthy. Don't get me wrong. He's wealthy. But he's not a billionaire.
I could take the crumbs off the table.
They're not billionaires. They're not billionaires. And I think there is even a different level between having, a couple $100 million versus being, having, 10, 15, $100 billion. There's a big difference. But so anyway.
But a lot of people did not like the fact that he was wealthy, and then they criticized his wife for some blouse or sweater or something that she wore that was like, worth several $1,000s or something that she'd paid for. That must have been golden threads or something. So petty. It really was petty.
So petty.
But they were going after him for it, or her. And, it's just going to be interesting to watch this all unfold.
It really is. And what we do know is that it is unfolding. It isn't something that's going to be going along. It isn't business as usual. This is unfolding. And I think this is going to unfold with our finances, with our debt, with government. This truly is the beginning. And I think the beginning started last year, but it's exciting, it's dangerous, and we need to be prepared for all sorts of things, because it's going to be a very chaotic year, I believe. It's going to be a great year.
I watched a movie over the holiday weekend, and I went to Wally World. And when I was buying Christmas presents, and I know you don't want to hear about Christmas anymore, but anyway, they have this cheap bin, and they had all kinds of DVDs in it. Buy your favorite movie. Well, I didn't see hardly any movies that I even knew what were. I'd never heard of them. But I bought one called Olympus Fallen. Mm-hmm. Olympus being the White House, and I don't know if you've seen the movie. It was a very intense movie.
I have.
And I'm thinking as I'm watching this, it could happen. And America and Americans are in no way prepared for such an attack.
For the listeners who don't know what the attack was, why don't you explain it?
It was
Olympus was the president.
Olympus was the president of the White House, and he actually had invited. I don't want to be a spoiler here. He actually had invited South Korea. I believe it was a South Korean administrator into the White House, and they were going to talk. And it had been infiltrated with some rebels from that area, which were neither North or South Korean. That particular person that was a terrorist was mad at both the regimes there. But he was going to take out the president. He was going to take out the United States, and he did. They took down the White House in D.C. They came in bombing D.C., and they had inside help. There was an American that helped them. Okay. And anyway, it was very ugly. And it was an ex-Secret Service guard that came in, and actually he was I think he was a Green Beret, special ops in the military. So anyway, he came in, and he actually is the one that helped save the president's son, who was still hiding somewhere in the White House that they had not gotten a hold of. They were killing people. They were shooting them in the head, trying to get the secret codes for the nukes. So anyway, that was kind of the plot of it all, and I won't tell you what happened at the end, but I'm thinking through this movie, if something like this were to take place in any of our state capitals or in D.C., the White House, there's no way that Americans are prepared. They're not prepared financially. They're not prepared to fight. They're not prepared in any way to survive. I know that we've got a lot of people that buy survival food and all this and that, but, and I'm thinking about myself, too. Sometimes I think we're just a bunch of sissies. We've been so spoiled and so comfortable for so long. Not all of us have had special op training, so how would we survive something like this? And can you kick butt? Melanie, can you kick butt? They come in.
It depends on whose butt I'm kicking.
I mean, we may have our guns, we may have some ammo, but are we in any way, shape, size, or form ready to handle something like that if it should happen on our soil? And I hear music. We're going into a break. And that was just, I know, I think weird. I think weird when I watch movies. 717-300-1218 is the number to call. That's 717-300-1218. Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and I'm actually here. We've been having some phone line issues, but I am here right now, and the number to call if you want to visit with us is 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. Our listeners are probably afraid of our phone lines, and I don't blame them. I have an interesting story here, and it is actually coming from Breitbart. But it is actually out of the UK, out of Britain. But this is a Muslim caretaker, and he or she takes care of an elderly woman. But when the elderly woman asked them to purchase a Christmas ham, they refused due to their religious reasons. The Muslim caretaker in Sweden, I said Britain, I'm sorry, has caused controversy after she refused to purchase a Christmas ham for one of her company's clients, saying that it was violating her religious beliefs. So, they didn't bake the cake. They would not bake the cake in Sweden for this elderly woman who wanted Christmas ham. And I thought that was interesting. I guess maybe you don't, but I thought it was very interesting. We've said many times here, how they went after the Christian baker and the Christian florist. What if it had been a Muslim baker or florist that refused? What would they have done then? Well, of course, I think they picked out who they were going to go after, and they're smart enough to know not to do that. They could lose their heads or something if they did that, but...
Ouch.
I know. That hurts, doesn't it?
But going into the break, we were talking about the what we could see happen in D.C. and you're absolutely correct. I don't think anyone is really prepared for that because I don't think anyone really believes that could happen.
I think everyone needs to watch that movie, and I'm serious. Just because it's intense and it's got some foul language in it, I don't approve of that. But that just seems to be the case anymore with these things. The F word is so popular with everyone. But anyway, it's just how they did it and how the reaction of the people were. And, I don't think that America's ready for something like that. I think it would definitely bring us down.
Well, there's a program on television also called Designated Survivor. I believe it's called Designated Survivor. And what it is every in the January when they have when the president gives his speech, that speech he gives in January.
It's called the State of the Union Address.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Because you have
I'm good for something once in a while.
They have all the heads of states in one area that they actually keep someone out and place them in a secure location. So if something should happen, there would be someone to take over the presidency, and that's exactly what happened during the speech. A bomb had gone off, and so the person that was pulled was a designated survivor, and he became president. And so, weird things are happening, and you see more and more, and it's disturbing sometimes to watch these programs and movies because it does give thoughts and ideas.
That's another thing. You're kind of worried that it's helping the enemy when you have movies such as this. Well, one thing that I found unreal in it, but they were both in the White House, the president and the vice president, so they both ended up in the bunker with the terrorists at the same time. And so it ended up that it was the Secretary of State, which happened to be, I've lost his name. I love him. He's such a good actor, and I love his voice. I can't think of his name, but the thought went through my mind. There's no way Paul Ryan would have the ability to take over. And Morgan Freeman, that's who it was, Morgan Freeman. And he had kind of the attitude of Trump. They had him in a meeting at the beginning of And he said, we need to do such and such. And the woman said, I don't know if a bluff will work. He said, who was talking about a bluff? If we say it, we're going to do it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, everybody else says, well, we don't want to start anything. And it ended up that he was excused from the meeting. And then these dignitaries from outside the United States came in. And I know you've seen the movie. I'm just kind of setting it up. But Morgan Freeman, he had to stay focused. He had to stay on. Of course, then they have him in the war room or whatever they call that with the military and others, you know. And so he was the one who had to call the shots because the president was in the bunker, so was Secretary of Defense in the bunker, the Vice President was in the bunker, and normally the Vice President and the President are not in the same place.
That is
true.
Them
separated. So,
and you know what, you made a very good point about Paul Ryan and all of our politicians that are in Washington. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's something we should think about when we vote. It's in a situation like that, how much confidence do you have in these folks?
Who's got it in them to man up?
To really,
One of my favorite old movies is Air Force One. Mm-hmm. And, of course, it was a female that was the vice president in that one. And the military were telling her to do this and do that. You know, she had to take over and write off the president, and she wasn't willing to do that at that point yet. And she was just almost ready to sign it when everything ended up. The president kicked butt, and he won, you know. And, of course, that was, the guy who was on Star Wars. I can't think of what his name is. Anyway, started out there. But anyway, my thought process is what America is going through and what dissension, what turmoil is across the globe, whether it's in North Korea, South Korea, Iran, Iraq, all these things that are going on. Even here in the United States, we have so much division. We're not united we're not the United States right now. I don't think there's as many that hate the president as everybody likes to give a test to. We have a caller, but we are just about out of time. Let's quickly go to Neil in Missouri. Neil?
Yeah, you were talking about survival, and most people don't understand because they're not wealthy enough to have their own survival base already prepared like the super rich already have. If you don't have that kind of money, you have to get prepared now, and that requires a lifestyle change. You can't be living in the cities. You can't be dependent on anybody else for your survival. You have to get into the wilderness, like it says in the Bible to do, and get yourself out of the system, Revelation 18:4. Get yourself out, get yourself prepared, so that no matter what causes the collapse, whether it's electrical shutdown, whether it's an EMP, nuclear attack, solar flare, new ice age, whatever it is that's coming, you need to be able to go underground to cover yourself for the 7 years tribulation that the Bible says is coming. Now, people have had plenty of warning, but if they're not willing to make the lifestyle change now in order to survive what's coming, then they're not going to survive it. It's just that simple. I've been teaching survival for the last 40 years, so I know.
Okay. Are you there?
Want to talk about it, but they don't actually want to do anything about it because it requires that lifestyle change. And they don't want to change their lifestyle. They want to live next door to Walmart. They don't want to live out in the boonies.
And sometimes it is jobs. We have to work. We have to make a living. We have to, and sometimes it's difficult for people to.
You have kids. You have children.
To uproot. And I understand, and certainly, but folks can always have an escape route, perhaps.
And they should.
And they should have an escape.
That requires giving up the booze and the boob tube, and most people just won't do it. Yeah. They're too comfortable kicking back, popping open that beer and watching the boob tube all night long until they go to sleep and they get up and go back to work the next day. Can't do that and survive what's coming.
I agree.
And it's the same way with finances, Neil. People just become dependent on Wall Street, dependent on their retirement accounts, dependent on their 401s, thinking that it's going to, give them the retirement. They don't worry about what's truly happened in the monetary system, and they're going to lose. They won't be able to escape that because it'll happen so quick.
Right. None of that will be available when this shuts down. soon as the electricity is shut off, that's all gone, out the window.
Yep. And the music is playing, and we are out of time, so we're going to have to survive until tomorrow's hour. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate it so much. Melody, I thank you. Thank you to the listeners for putting up with us while we had some phone issues today, and we just really appreciate you so much. And we will be back tomorrow. Melody, you have a great afternoon.
I think I talked to you in just a few more minutes.
Oh, no. I had you on for next week. We're going to have to get our act together, girl.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.